Hey there, welcome to Old Man Runner. In today's video, I'm going to do this, the Apple Watch Ultra. First, I'm going to go through some of the changes the Ultra brings versus a regular Apple Watch and go through some of my likes and dislikes. Then I'm going to go through some of the running metrics and compare them to this, the Garmin FR955. And finally, I'm going to see if I can recommend the Apple Watch Ultra as a serious runner's watch. I've been wearing an Apple Watch for a number of years, and much as I love it, I haven't found it to be useful as a serious runner's watch. And the question I'm asking myself is the Ultra a serious runner's watch? To do a bit of testing, I ran the virtual New York Marathon wearing both of these watches, the Garmin FR955 Cellular. I'll put a link to this one at the end of this video. And as always, there'll be chapter markers down below so you can skip through to the bits that you might be interested, because this video might be long and I know your time is valuable, so it's not a serious runner's watch. In this video, I'll try and explain why. There's lots of things I love about the Apple Watch. Every day I test my ECG, my blood oxygen and other health metrics. Apple Pay is incredibly simple to use. The messages, I use it for getting messages, notifications, emails, all that sort of stuff. I sometimes use it for Siri, particularly asking it to convert grams to ounces. That's a common one I use for these videos. I use it as a Nest camera, so I can see what's going on my video camera on security. I also use it, oddly enough, to control video playback on my iPhone. I've been recently watching the World Series of Baseball, and I can just fast forward on my watch as opposed to on the iPhone or on the Apple TV. And oddly enough, then I don't see how much is left in the game. So I find that very useful. Very weird use, but that's what I do. I also take selfies. So here after the Arizona Marathon in Buckeye, Arizona earlier this year, I can put the camera on a tripod and control it from the watch. I do that pretty much after every marathon. And I occasionally talk on it. Someone rings when I'm out running. My phone is in my pocket. This goes off and I can make a quick answer if I need to. The things I really like are all of those mentioned above. Plus I love the clear, bright screen, and I love the customizable aspect of the screen, and the overall ease of use is just fantastic. The things I don't like about my Apple Watch 6 is it's not useful for serious runners. I call it my social watch. That's where I do all the socializing stuff on it. And for running, I use this, the FR955 Cellular, and I also use an HRM Pro chest strap. And because of that, because this is effectively my social watch and this is my runner's watch, I wear them both at the same time, all the time. Apple announced the Ultra and I was intrigued. The third button hooked me. I was interested in the bigger, brighter screen, the promised longer battery life. The 86 decibel siren audible at 180 meters really interested me. And of course, more accurate GPS. To go through each of those things in detail, the third button, which I thought was going to be brilliant, isn't. You can start a workout, you can customize what it does, but you can start a workout, but to stop it, you have to press two buttons, which is awkward. And then you have to operate the screen, which in my experience in the rain just doesn't work. Worse, it won't start or stop an external app like Runkeeper, Stride, Nike Run Club. So don't buy the watch for this feature for running. They promised a bigger, brighter screen. So 2000 versus 1000 nits. It's gloriously bright. I think it's fantastic from that point of view. Is it much bigger? Well, it's 410 by 502 versus 396 by 484. Now that means it's about 3 to 4% wider than the Apple Watch Series 8 and about 3 to 4% taller. Very marginal. It's as if Apple read one of my favorite books of all time, How to Lie with Statistics by Darren Huff, because when you listen to them, you'd swear this was a gigantic screen. It's not. It's marginally bigger than that on an Apple Watch 8. Having said that, I like big screens. If they made it 3% bigger the next time, I'd probably still go for it. But the screen resolution and brightness is superb. In terms of battery life, well, so far so good. I get about 3 days out of the battery in regular use, non-GPS. On the day of the virtual marathon, I got up early, ran the marathon, came home, still had plenty of battery life. The beauty of charging it is that you charge it on the charger, then it sends a notification to your iPhone saying it's 100% charged. In my experience, the iPhone battery gets worse and worse and worse as you own it. So we'll see by the time the next Ultra watch gets launched whether this is still operating at full power. I'm pretty safety conscious and I was very interested in the Siren. Got it back, couldn't wait to test it. I was surprised I didn't see any videos online, so the thing came in and I thought, wow, this is going to be really loud. Audible at 180 meters, they said. Wow, I said. So I decided to test it myself, and I planned this big long test, and I'll show it to you here where I get down to the beach. I did that this morning. Get down to the beach, go 180 meters away with the camera and the microphones in an outdoor environment where someone might need to be rescued. Someone gets rescued every year from the beach by helicopter, pretty much. So I thought to myself, right, I'll go out, I'll test that and see. And I didn't want to shock anybody nearby with the volume of it all. So I did that this morning, and let's have a quick look and I'll run the video. I'm here at the beach testing the Siren on the Apple Watch Ultra. I'm going to go 180 meters behind me and let it off at intervals as I come back at the same sound levels so you can hear how loud it is or isn't. Here I am running out the 180 meters away as measured on my Garmin. I promise you, when I ran out there, I had the Siren on full blast, pointed straight at the camera, which was using the same microphone and audio recorder as I'm using now. So not sure if you can hear it at all. I'm going to try it again. I'm going to start it here. So hold on that. Siren. Here we go. Here's me talking over it. Good luck with getting rescued. It's useless. I've tested it with friends where they're standing right in front of me and I'm saying I'm going to test this and they back right off. And then you press it and they go, what? I was in the park the other day. There's a guy 20 meters away. Let it off. He didn't even look up. Apple shouldn't be allowed to promise sonic salvation. It's one thing to have hyperbola where you've made the wonderful, brave decision to drop out of a headphone jack off an iPhone. That's fine. I get that. But this is a safety feature that doesn't work. So just don't sell it as a safety feature. And all of these watches, this one and all the other ones, test the stuff before you rely on them. Because frankly, a lot of it can't be relied upon. I was interested in the increased accuracy for the GPS. Apple had made a big ploy about bad GPS in Chicago, and that was my personal experience running the Chicago Marathon with a Course Pace 2. Yeah, the tracking was way off. I can't test it in Chicago, so I ran on my virtual marathon, which is out in the middle of nowhere, nearly dead straight. Probably the worst place in the world to try and test GPS, because it tracked true on both of these. But when I went off throwing sticks to dogs, yeah, at least it showed I went off the trail. So yeah, more accurate GPS is a bonus. Apple recently introduced OS 9, which brought running metrics to the Apple Watch. Not just the Ultra, but anything running OS 9, I think. Certainly the latest Apple Watch Series 8. The metrics 1 are current heart rate, rolling mile, average pace and distance. And metrics 2 is your cadence, stride length, ground contact time, vertical oscillation. They also bring in running power and elevation. I'm going to make a video about all of that at another stage, certainly about running power. But suffice to say that when I go running with all the different metrics, they don't match. One thing I really liked about the Ultra was Apple scheduled an online meeting for me to get to learn to know the watch. And I pretty much knew how to use an Apple Watch from before, but there was a meeting scheduled with Johannes, really good, talked through some various things. I asked a really complicated question, so I was put on to a guy called David. It was really good. They answered my questions, worked seamlessly. Really nice part of buying the watch, and particularly for somebody new to the Apple Watch experience, and I wanted to know a lot about them running metrics. But something like that would have been really useful with the Garmin, some of which I still haven't figured out how to use. To test the battery life between the two watches, I ran a virtual marathon. What I did was charge the watches to 100% here, went off, ran my marathon. Now, during the marathon, I covered up both watches because I didn't want to see the data. And typically I set my Apple Watch to only show data when I raise my hand. I don't like it showing generally, and that does save a bit of battery life. But anyway, at the end of the marathon, I was surprised, having gone all the way to the middle of Ireland on train to run this marathon. I was surprised that at the end of it all, the Garmin had 54% and this had 64%. So Yeah, on that marathon, I actually got better battery life out of the Apple Watch. I typically get twice the battery life out of the Garmin compared to the Apple Watch Ultra. On Sunday, I charged them at 9:30 at 100% on each watch. Monday at 9:30, 92%, 75%. Tuesday at 9:30, 80%, 44%. Wednesday at 9:30, 68%, 8%. Now, about twice out of this compared to this, charging the Apple Watch took me 25%. I got in about 15 minutes. So that would equate to an hour for a full charge. I think it takes a bit longer. It doesn't charge that fast, but one of the beauties is you do get a message on your iPhone as soon as it's finished. The FR955 Solar captures a lot of data, but to get the full suite of running metrics, you also need to add this, the Garmin HRM Pro heart rate monitor, or similar heart rate monitor from Garmin. The Apple Watch gets all the data on its own. I like the accuracy of the HRM Pro, and I will do a video comparing metrics on each of the devices. And this is long and it is involved. And if there is something that in particular you want me to make a video of, let me know in the comments below and I'll give it a whirl. You can change the watch face on both watches. Garmin have a Connect IQ app. There's lots of stuff in there. And Apple have their own watch faces on their app on the iPhone. Both are on the iPhone. There's no comparison. The Garmin one is a visual mess and the Apple one is beautiful and very simple to use. You can also customize the Apple one much more easily. You can take a picture with your iPhone and use that as your Apple Watch face, which is exactly what I do. Having a picture of my shoe, but you could have, loved ones, flowers, dogs, cats, the usual. I bought all three straps. This is the trail loop. The pros of it is it's lightweight, easy to adjust. The cons, I don't think it's got any visual appeal. I don't like the Velcro on the outside. It stays wet after the shower. Overall, I never ever wear it. This is the Alpine loop. Pros are it's lightweight, there's a very secure fit, it's visually appealing. Cons, it can scratch the glass. You've got a titanium piece on the end, or certainly a metal piece of some form on the end that can scratch the glass, bang off the watch. I don't think it'll be that durable. I think it'll easily fray. It gets marked by biro or pen. It stays wet after the shower. But actually, for racing, it's my overall strap of choice. I ran the virtual marathon in it. Didn't notice it once. Just hooked it on. Away I went, and it was super. This is the Ocean Band. Pros are a relatively secure fit, visually appealing. I love the look of it, particularly in this yellow. Cons, the mechanism is very fiddly and it relies on this titanium piece. Now, I would not go diving in this watch. In fact, I would not do anything and rely on this piece. I'll do a close-up of it, but it's a tiny, fiddly little piece with a small little spring. It looks like it'd break in no time. But for what I plan to use it for, around the house and all that sort of stuff, and general running, not racing, I love it. It's 3 times the weight of the trail loop. I'll put all of the weights and stuff down in the description below, but overall I wear this every day. But if I could only buy one, it would be the Alpine loop. If you're buying 2 straps, like the watch plus an additional strap, buy the watch with the strap you're really sure you want, so that if you have to send the other strap back, you just send the strap back. Otherwise you've got to send the strap and the watch. I discovered this the hard way, which is why I still have the trail loop. The straps are expensive. They're weirdly priced. They're €100, $100 and £100. Someone is not winning on this one, and I think it's you, UK. I found convincing knockoffs on Amazon for less than $20. And I hear you going, well, what about the quality? Well, this is, here is what's left of my Apple Solo Loop, which is $50 thereabouts. So it's the stretchy one on the old watch. It's still available, but you could just put on in one go. I really liked it. It broke after less than a year of just taking it on and putting it off every night, because I charged it every night, and Apple didn't refund it. So I'm kind of looking at saying, well, how bad can knockoffs on Amazon be compared to Apple's quality in terms of their straps? Probably made in the same place. All Ultras cost the same: $799 US, €999, £849, £1,299 Australian dollars. About double the cost of a Series 8. I was surprised actually that it wasn't more expensive. I was chatting with my nephew beforehand and we thought it was all going to cost about $1,000. Now, I'm not saying it's good value, but relative to Apple's usual pricing strategy, what I like to think of as the Apple tax, this seemed, well, it felt on the money. The Garmin FR955 Solar cost me €649, and then I had to get the HRM strap, which was another €129. So overall, €1,000 versus €770 to get the same running metrics. All Apple Watch Ultras come with Cellular, which I think is fantastic. It's not available in Ireland as of this moment. If it was, I would get it. It means the watch has microphones and a speaker in it. And so if I'm out running and somebody rings me on my iPhone, it can come through and I can answer it. So that can be actually a very important thing. And I think it's great that they all have Cellular. There are two large areas of differences between these two watches, and they are data and mapping. Both setups that I use capture pretty similar data, but it's the Garmin that does the most with it. It has a very good Garmin Connect app where you can usefully analyze the data. Ironically, I analyze it on Apple products, either my iPhone or on the web app on my MacBook, and it is really good. I mean, chapeau to Garmin. It's a really great tool for analyzing what you did. Apple buries their data in the health app. I mean, they capture all the data, but they don't really do anything with it. I'll show a video of me trying to look at the data I got from each of my marathons, and we can have a look as we go along at the differences that one and how Garmin analyzes it compared to Apple. I'm going to have a look at the Garmin Connect app and then the Apple Health app in relation to my recent marathon. So I recorded on each of the watches, and so I'm going to have a look at the data each. So the Connect app first, it opens up really simply, little man running along, a little person running along, and then I go down and I hit activities, go for running, go for the last year, scan down to, it was in October, and then virtual New York Marathon, and then again the little person, and you can see very nicely the little map. You can see the time. I wasn't trying to run fast. I have the distance, I have the calories, all very well. It tells me in HRM Pro. I can go over and I can slot and I can see average pace, moving pace, all of those sort of cadence, all that sort of stuff. I can go per kilometer. So the first one was 5:07, 5:21, that sort of stuff. And then I can look at my at a beautiful data visualization. You can see where I was stopping at the end to record to camera, but I can do the pace, heart rate, stamina, ended up at 1 again, and so on and so forth. But it's really elegant, really easy to use, and there is an accompanying app on the web where you can sort of set a particular kilometer, etc., etc. Very easy to use, nice visualization. Now, let's compare that with the Apple one. So I'll go back, I'll go to Health, Apple Health. I was looking at this morning, so I've now got the Health app open, and I find this incredibly confusing. So we'll see. This took me a whole load of goes the other day to try and actually work out where it was. So I'll go back up and just go to Show All Data. Show All Health Data. So I think I scroll down in here. I was going to say stop me when that's not possible. So I scroll down here, and somewhere in here it should say workouts. Click on workouts. I'm going to go 6 months. I can see a big one. That's it there. Now, how do I find it? I think I've got to go down here, and I've got to go to Show All Data. We go down here, 5 hours, 10 seconds, 26th of October. So you go through here. It says who I am, my watch, all this sort of stuff. Going down, it gives the... let's just click on average heart rate, which seems to disappear in and out, but I'm going to click on it. And... it's broken down into so many different components. You can see all the times and the components. And this is the same when I go to any other metrics. If I go to, let's say, well, there's a map. The map is nice. Look at all these little segments. Like, it's just like, what use is this segment? Anyway, the net result is they've got all the data. They're just not doing anything useful with it. It's not just data visualization that Garmin offer. They do data analysis with it. On the watch, you get recovery time, performance condition, and all sorts of running-based metrics, none of which you get on the Apple Watch Ultra. You can run other third-party apps, but certainly when you're trying to run Stride or Runkeeper, they're not native, they're not optimized, and you still have the problem with the start and stop button. There's a mapping and navigation function on the FR955 Solar. I find it confusing and unresolved, and I know that Garmin make watches with better screens, it's not the screen, it's that the UX is terrible, the user experience. And the manual online is of almost no help. I find it deeply frustrating. I plan to try and make a video about how the navigation and mapping works, but I haven't really been able to figure it out to my satisfaction to enable me to stand here and tell you how it works. And that's despite watching very many videos and trying to get through Garmin's horrible manual. By way of comparison, the maps on the Apple Watch are beautiful. The interface is fantastic, the quality, the resolution, all the things you can add traffic, you can do all sorts of things. Very easy to use. The thing is, at least in the case of the Apple Watch Ultra, for the moment, they're not really linked up. They don't do anything. There's no running app that can use them. You probably saw some breadcrumbing thing that Apple mentioned. I tried it, it was useless in my experience. What I need is that the mapping app is linked to a running app, and for the moment that's a missed opportunity. At the start of this video I asked, is the Apple Watch Ultra a serious runner's watch? And it's not. The lack of the button, the sort of lots of features that don't integrate for running. But with some small reservations, I'm absolutely delighted with the watch. The Garmin FR955 Solar is a great runner's watch. Lots of features that runners need. And with some small reservations, mapping and navigation, I'm delighted with it. But for the moment, I'm continuing to wear both. Serious social watch, serious running watch. Now here's the thing. We're probably a few years away from a one watch solution. And who is going to do it? Will it be Garmin with their ugly app shop, their confusing instructions, the poor interface in the mapping? Or will it be Apple with their beautiful but unjoined, unmined mapping and unused running data? Well, it's going to be Apple, isn't it? And yes, there'll be some hoo-ha down the road in Cupertino as some running app is launched. With probably the same data analysis tools that everyone else has had for years, Chorus and Garmin, but you'll be told it's the world's greatest thing and it's so new and blah blah. And then another period of time will go by and more hoo-ha down in Cupertino where some integrated mapping function is launched and championed. But until then, for me at least, I'm still going to have to do two watches. Running, socializing, apples and oranges. I hope you enjoyed the video and found it useful. If you did, it would be great if you hit the like button. As always, there'll be lots of stuff down in the description below and I'll happily answer any questions that you put into the comments. There'll be a big blue subscribe button popping up there and some related videos there. Thanks for watching. Until the next video, just keep running along.